Hi folks, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Coming blog post we want to share with you. Of course, we'll be the latest in social media and technology. This is our phone versus comparison that we normally do between two very popular phones. One is the Droid Razr Maxx HD, one of the latest phones that come out, and one of the popular ones on the market with the HTC One X. The Motorola Droid can be found from VerizonWireless.com. That's VerizonWireless.com. You should go to the website. And the AT&T at AT&T.com, AT&T.com. Check out both companies to give them some thanks for sharing the phones with us, and also tell them Chris Voss sent you. So we're going to compare these two phones side by side, give a rundown on the benchmarking and also their camera work that they do. Let's break these babies down and see how they compare. Now, the dimensions on the Motorola Droid Razr Maxx HD, we're looking at 5.19 in height, 2.67 in width, and a 0.37 inch thickness. On the HTC One X, we're looking at a height of 5.3 inches, 2.75 in width, and a 0.38 in thickness. On the weight of the HD Droid, we're looking at 5.54 ounces. On the HTC One X, we're looking at 4.75 ounces in weight. Now, on the Droid, we're looking at a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, which I think is the biggest battery on any Android or mobile phone to this point. 3,300 milliamps, very huge. And what's cool about it is it's not much bigger than most other batteries you see out there in the marketplace of phones. And it certainly doesn't make it too much heavier. We're looking at an 1,800 milliamp battery that's on the HTC One X. Looking at the Droid Razr Maxx HD, it's got a display of an OLED full color, I should say. Resolution 720 by 1280 pixels, 4.79 on the screen. That's Super AMOLED. On the display for the HTC One X, it's a LCD color TFT resolution 720 by 1280 pixels, 4.7 diagonal inch screen, Super LCD. Both are running Android 4.04, the very latest that's available to both products at this point in time of recording. And the processor on the Droid is a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, 1 gigabytes of RAM. On the HTC One X, you're looking at 1.5 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 dual core processor. It's got 16 gigabytes of internal storage, 1 gigabyte of RAM. The Motorola has expandable memory up to 32 gigabytes on a micro SD card. The HTC is stuck with what it has. So there's that difference there. Both have NFC chip technology, which is important these days. That seems to be the big thing there going on. Let's see here. We're looking at, on the back camera for the Droid, an 8 megapixel camera, 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera with an 1080p HD out the back for video recording. On the camera for the HTC One X, you're looking at an 8 megapixel back, 1.3 megapixel front, and it's 1080p out the back, of course. So you have that. Like I said, they're both running the Android OS system. They're both a little bit different because they have their own internal UI, Motorola, and of course HTC has the Sense system they have on theirs. You can see they both have really good big screens, which are important, and all that good stuff. A little bit difference in the UIs here. With the Motorola, you can swipe from the left to the right and get into your quick settings, where normally with the HTCs you have this swipe that goes on. It's a finite swipe where you can go back and forth between all the different screens. And of course it has the things that most Android lovers do on both devices, where you can customize the screens, make widgets, make folders, all that sort of good stuff. You can change all this gearing up, live wallpapers, etc., etc. Now, drop-down menus for notifications are a little bit different based on the UI, but kind of about the same when it really comes down to it. Let's take a look at a few different other features. With both of them, they have beautiful screens. I love this big size screens. The HTC One X is a little bit lighter in its weight, of course, but you have a lot more battery power and gear in the Motorola Droid. So, the Motorola has got a speaker right up here at the top for making calls, front-facing camera, capacitive touchscreen back, home button, and recent apps capacitive button. On the Motorola, you've got a speaker across the top here for calls, a front-facing camera. You also have a back button, a home button, and a recent apps button, and capacitive touchscreen. One thing that's interesting about the HTC One X is with the recent update of 4.04, it gave us the ability to turn this button either to be a recent apps button or a menu button. So you have the ability to change that in the UI in the settings. So very cool that way, where they made some changes to this button. I really like that update they took and did. So you can take a look at both the devices, and really it just comes down to what you prefer, of course, and which systems they're on. The Droid product is pretty much exclusive to Verizon, so you would have to be on Verizon to take advantage of that. Whereas the HTC One, I believe, is on several different systems, or there, well, I should say actually there's variations. There's an HTC One S, and there's a bunch of different variations in the HTC One product, depending upon which carrier you're going with. So you can look around for that. But you can get this with AT&T.com. Let's flip this over and we'll take a look at the back of these devices. Now the HTC has a curved back, which works really good for being ergonomically correct. There's curves on the Motorola, but they're less predominant. They're just kind of on the edges. It feels more like a square box than the HTC One X does, but I don't think it takes away from the phone, nor does it make it feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form in my mind. On the HTC, you've got, I'm sorry, on the Droid, was I referring to that as HTC? On the Droid, we've got the front-facing microphone, which are really important these days if you're doing video work. So you get your video camera eye, you've got your flash lamp button, your speaker on the back, and that's pretty much it. It's a non-removable back. It does have this kind of bulletproof looking sort of back to it, which is pretty cool. On the HTC, you're looking at, there's a small area here. We'll show you when we look at the top for the SIM card to go in. There's the camera eye, the lamp flash. The camera eye is raised, has kind of a curved back, has your speaker down here, and of course the HTC product has Beats audio on it. I like the Beats audio on it. Basically, it's an enhancement sound, equalization sound, if you will. Once you plug in your earphone into your earphone jack, it activates the Beats audio system, and you're able to enjoy the sound. Down the side here, this is a sync charging area. HTC has evidently made a dock for the product where you could put it in and you could take and sync charge the device through these buttons as opposed to plugging it in, but you can also plug it in if you so choose. Now, the Beats audio is pretty cool to have, especially if you have the Beats audio headphones and all that good stuff, Beats audio beatbox and other products. At the top here, we have a earphone jack that you can take and plug in. On the left-hand side of the device for the Droid, we have your tray for the SIM card and the micro SD card. They both pull out. The tray pops out. With the here we have the sync charge area, and we have micro HDMI output here, which is really cool with the product. So you can plug in a micro HDMI cord to that and plug it into your TV. Just some screws here on the bottom. Kind of has this boxy steel look, very strong. There's kind of some rigid, sharp edges to these volume up, volume down, and the power button. Not sharp where you're going to cut yourself. If you dragged hard enough, you could actually. But it kind of has this design that gives it this steelish, hard, square box built, super tough sort of image, I suppose is what it portrays. So you got that with the device on the right side. On the HTC One X, across the top, we've got a power button here. You can see we've got a microphone hole here, earphone jack here. We've got the SIM card hole here. Down the left-hand side, we've got a sleek plastic back to it. We've got the sync charge port here. We've got a small microphone hole there. Down the right-hand side, we've just got the rocker button here. One issue I've had always with the HTC One X, it's a great phone, but I'm always with my big hands pressing the, accidentally pressing the volume up and volume down button. I have 9-inch span hands, so maybe it's just my problem that I have such big hands and it makes such an issue for me. So that walks us around the devices. Here you can see the speedtest.net results on both these devices. Now you'll notice that both the Wi-Fi's are on. These are of course from the log, as you can see here, and they're kind of show you what you can get. And of course your mileage is going to vary depending upon where you are and what your company that gives you access to has in signal strength in your area. You can see here, this is of course Verizon Wireless. This is some AT&T results of their download and upload speeds. Okay, so here we can see the Geekbench 2 scores, and these are kind of the predominant ways to score both these phones, or at least all phones that people use the Geekbench 2 app. And what's really great about the app is you can download on your personal phone and compare how your phone compares to these phones, and all that good stuff. So we have a 1558 score with the Droid Razr and 1433 with the HTC. Here's your score of 1008 compared to 914, 2273 compared to 2033, 1727 memory score against 1680, 646 against 665. HTC One X holds up pretty good considering the phone's almost a year old in the marketplace, and the Droid Razr Maxx HD just barely came out. Let's take a look. I'll page down through these scores and you can take a look at them. You're welcome to pause as we go down. Some people like to look at the individual scores. I don't think they're that important as the totals are, but you can definitely pause if you so choose. So let's kind of go down through these, and you can see the memory, stream, breakdown scores, all that good stuff. Okay, so here you can see how both devices look in terms of the Display Tester app. The colors on the Droid, I can tell you, are much richer and sharper in color and a much better screen than the HTC One X. Just deeper greens, deeper yellows, every color just pops off the Droid. A little bit weaker here on the HTC One. Okay, so here we can see the Passmark performance test between both these devices. We have on the Droid, we have 2243 against 2172. Paging down, we have the CPU tests here, 5578 against 5081. You can stop these at any time if you want to compare the two of them. Disk test, 3629 against 3017. Memory test, 2388 against 2267. 3D graphics test, 2151 against 2254. And 3D graphics test, 749 against 753. Alright, so you can see on our Antutu benchmark scores, the benchmark comes in at 9525 for the Motorola Droid and 10,191 for the HTC One X. Okay, so here you can see a comparative analysis between both devices. The Droid scored at the very top here, 4741 of the list, and this device scored 4929 on the HTC One X. You can see that they both beat the HTC One X. What you find is the differences in these variables are what people submitted depending upon what OS systems they're using and what's on their phones. So that's why you see some of the differences. You see the totals down here. Okay, so in taking a look at both devices with the CF benchmarking app, you can see your version 1.2. We're going to page down through these. You can pause at any time if you want to look at some of the individual numbers that are on here and all that good stuff. But the main one we're looking for is the overall score. It scored overall on the Droid 9541 against 9578 on the HTC One X. You can see how comparatively they both scored in these graphical areas down here at the bottom. Okay, so here we're doing the billion counter app test. You can see here that the Motorola device counted to a billion in 20.8 seconds, comparatively 22.323 seconds for the HTC One X. Okay, so this is a GPS test. This tests how well each device can get to within 10 feet of accuracy on GPS and how many satellites it picks up. You can see here the Droid picks up quite a bit of satellites, 18 to 19 in view, 14 in use. Same thing pretty much with the HTC One X. Looks like the Droid's picking up a number 76 satellite. Oh, there we go. The HTC One finally picked it up. Well, sometimes it's picking it up. But both are coming with an accuracy of 10 feet and seem to be doing a great job on their own. Alright, so here you can see the GL benchmark 2.5.1 scores. The Droid did 25.05 frames per second, or I'm sorry, frames and 22 frames per second in its C24Z16 test. Over here on the HTC One did 24 frames at 21 frames per second. In the off-screen test, 14 frames at 13 frames per second. And in the off-screen test for the One X, 30 frames at 14 frames per second. Okay, so here we have, this is a Volamo test, which touched a lot of HTML5 resources. We got 1712 on the Volamo score for HTML5, 1604 over here, 614 metal, and 632 over here for the HTC One X. Okay, so here you can see the scores. We scored 3011 on the Antutu 3D rating benchmark and 3040 on the HTC One X. This here is an SQL test using the RL benchmark SQLite performance. Measures inserts, drop tables, things of that nature, string comparisons. You can see some of the scores and breakdown. What we do is we usually look at the overall scores here, and it's 26.088 for the Droid. HTC One X came at 27.989 seconds. Here we have the KFS benchmark scores on both devices. You can see here 25.873 for the KFS benchmark on the Droid, and 34.647 seconds on the HTC One. This measures the OpenGL 2.0 performance on both devices. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera on the device. It's got an impressive camera to it. It definitely is a great camera. I'm very impressed. On the Motorola, let's take a look. You've got, of course, zoom over here where you can zoom in and out. You can also set up to where you can use the volume button for zoom. In settings, you've got some interesting settings here. You've got your widescreen for 8 megapixel. You can also click this and it will go to 6 megapixels to match the screen. Kind of interesting. You can see here you can also use the volume key function as zoom. You can geotag. You can pick your storage location and shutter tone if you want a shutter tone to be able to take and do. I thought it was kind of interesting. It actually defaulted to this 6 megapixel setup, and of course you can see it's the same for the 8 here. Of course, these are most of the things you get with most Android products. You've got pre-made effects you can take and put into play. You've got scenes you can take and do. The modes you can take and do. One thing that was kind of irritating, though, is it kept suggesting HDR mode in some cases, and I couldn't figure out a way to turn that suggestion off, which is really irritating. It's like a box that pops up here. It's probably the one thing I've kind of gone, what is that? The exposure here, of course, you can adjust, and of course you have your lamp exposure depending upon whether you're in shutter mode, camera mode, or video mode. As in this case we are in video mode, so let's go ahead and kill that light. You can see here we have several different functions. Of course, your normal video MMS, slow motion. That's kind of interesting. A lot of phones now are coming with features of slow or fast motion already built into where you don't need an app, so you've got slow motion mode, which is pretty cool there. You can see here HD video resolution you can adjust. Of course, you got zoom once again with the thing, and on the video resolution you can choose between a number of definitions depending upon what you want to fit your mode. You also have effects, of course, and you also have audio scenes that you can take and do. I guess set up stereo, wind reduction, or concert. I guess wind reduction would be good, and the concert too for that matter. And then of course the thing with the Droid is you can slide that to the side, and you've got that at your beck and call if you ever need it. Of course, you have your ability to switch between your front and back-facing cameras. You've got your shutter buttons here, your active record button. You can, of course, switch between your camera and your video there. Let's take a look. Now, the one part that we weren't excited about with the camera was it has a hard time taking really good pictures and focusing in the flash lamp complete darkness situation. So we took this in complete darkness. If you can't tell, it's actually a closet. Okay, this one was a picture that came out fairly well. We had trouble with some of the other ones that we were taking and doing with them trying to get focus sharply on the image. A lot of the images came out blurry. In video mode, it's got a really great lamp to it. And in the video mode, it's got an awesome lamp, and it picks up very well and just shines the room. Not quite totally excited about how well it focused during the whole time, but it did an okay job. The video lamp we were very much more impressed with. It's got a huge lamp to it, just lights up really well, and you can see the colors pop and come out very well. So the only thing we just really struggled with was the camera taking a picture with the flash. Now, let's take a look at some other pictures. Here, once again, we're trying to take pictures with the flash in the complete darkness. This is shot into the sun, so there's a little bit of darkness to this photo, but it takes great outdoor pictures. Very awesome, beautiful colors, everything else on it. We're very impressed with it. Here you can see that there's the video player that's going on with it is shot in well-lit situations. It's got a very beautiful video player and very beautiful screens, colors. You can see here us using the zoom. The zoom's awesome to use. Very impressed with it. We really like the camera on the phone. Here's another close-up shot. It takes really good close-up shots, and this was what really surprises about this video. This is a shot where I'm shooting probably an inch off of the wood, and most cameras can't handle getting this close unless you have a macro lens. This lens did really, really well. I was very surprised. And the Motorola camera is really good. You can tell, though, there's a lot of pickup of reds and greens. You'll see that also here in this photo, where it picks up a lot of reds and greens pretty heavily. Very much darker than they really are. Here with the apple and the orange and our marble top in the kitchen, really, oh wow, it comes out heavy even in a well-lit situation. So that was one of the trade-offs, but yeah, it takes awesome close-up shots, great video lamp shots, beautiful shots otherwise in both video and photographs. The only place we saw a struggle, like I said, was shooting in the dark, complete darkness with the flash and being able to get the flash focus sequence down properly. But overall, just awesome camera work. Definitely, I would say this is in my top 3 or 5 cameras that I love to be able to use on a regular basis with the mobile phone, I should say.
Okay, so now I'm taking a look at the HTC One X. Everything's pretty much similar, everything in its operation, how it operates, not much changes here. There evidently was some small improvements to the camera that you won't notice on the back end that was found in the 4.04 update. Once again, really great pictures that I love with the X. The pictures do seem to be better, but maybe it's because I'm seeing them through a bigger screen. It's not much, it's very slight, but you can see here once again, lots of yellows, lots of greens, but it takes great photos and it brings out the brightness very well. Let's take a look at video. Video, once again, I'm pretty sure these probably have the same internal build of camera. They both take really great video shots. You almost can't really notice the difference other than the fact that one screen is bigger than the other. Here's a low light shot. Of course, you can see here the colors pop. This is completely dark. It brought everything out and did very well in a shoot. Same thing with a low light video situation here. Performed very well at getting this stuff done.
Okay, so all in all, in the end, we like both devices. You can get the Motorola Droid Razr Maxx HD at VerizonWireless.com. That's VerizonWireless.com. And you get the HTC One X at AT&T.com. That's AT&T.com. Tell them Chris Voss sent you. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved. Be sure to check into the ChrisVossShow.com often and subscribe to our YouTube channel and the website. So all the major phones companies now are sending us phones. That way you can get all the latest and greatest updates of phone reviews as they come out. Thanks for coming by the ChrisVossShow.com. Be sure to check back often.